India is still cheaper as per affordable as Western countries, but for Indians itself, it is still expensive. UK has a good NHS system, but again, government is taking a lot of the load. Someone has to pay for it, right? Even if it's not the user. So now it's all about how do we make it more efficient, because needs are the same. Same need of maintaining your life without as low diseases as possible. Have a lot of answers now, where innovation, how it can be done, right from understand. People start talking about need, problem statement, etc. But as I told you, medicine always had a similar need.
Siddharth, India has become the hub of innovation today. And what is the developments that you are noticing in the area of health?
So basically, if you see, healthcare predominantly has become very expensive. India is still cheaper as per affordable as per Western countries, but for Indians itself, it is still expensive, right? But imagine the scenario of developed countries like US, right, where if you are not insured, you cannot afford your healthcare. UK has a good NHS system, but again, government is taking a lot of the load. Someone has to pay for it, right? Even if it's not the user. So earlier, if you see, innovations used to be flowing from west to the west, or the developed nations to the developing nations or underdeveloped nations, right? But now the system has reversed. Even the people in US and other places have accepted that now for the innovations to become affordable for their own people and their own country, it has to reversely flowing from the developing nations to the developed nations, so that it is much easier and much more affordable and accessible for people. So there's a group in, if I'm right, Boston medical school, if I'm right, Dr. Christian Olson, he came up with this term called as reverse innovation, where now the innovation has to flow from countries like India to the US, so that more and more people can get affordable and accessible healthcare. And why? Because if you see, the healthcare needs has never changed, right? The needs have never changed. Only thing that has changed is technology. So now it's all about how do we make it more efficient, because needs are the same need of maintaining your life with as low diseases as possible. So the needs are same now, but with the advancement of technology, can we reduce the cost of health? Can we improve the utilization of technology in this case? That's what this reverse innovation all about. But again, there are a lot of other challenges when it comes to healthcare, right? Because if you see any technology that comes, healthcare is the last field which will adopt a new technology. Why? Because of the advent of creating evidences that it works, and that's a lot of burden to deal with. And to a good extent, a lot of the money and the cost in development goes in this area of creating those evidences.
But how do you create evidence in the space of wellness? I mean, if you're unwell, it takes 20 years for a disease to manifest. And if you're living a healthy life for 40 years with adopting a technology like Zeuron, how do you prove that Zeuron was the cause for living a healthy lifestyle? I mean, creating evidence for wellness is so difficult.
It is very difficult, yes. But then people like us, what we have done is we create digital cohorts to do studies, like how a certain group of people is doing well or doing bad with certain protocols of conditions and everything. So we do that in a digital way to come up with the evidences that is created. But still, that won't be accepted in the medical fraternity until we do a complete clinical study around it, which takes time, money, efforts, everything to go through it, because it's a cycle and the process that they have to follow to reach there. So this is what takes a lot of time. But at the same time, if we are smart enough, like what we do, whenever people get enrolled in it, they are automatically part of our digital studies. Of course, their names, their entire PIIs, personally identifiable information, is always masked. It's only the characteristics that we are interested in, and with that characters we do study what's happening and how it's working and improving. So one of the best examples is that of Twin Health. So Twin Health has done a great job in creating a lot of understanding in the metabolism space. They've been predominantly working on metabolism space, and they've done a good job in doing such cohorts where they've also involved doctors on boards and doing it. And that's a similar path. They've shown us the path, so that's what we are also following, to be frank. But we need to be a little more frugal than Twin Health, because Twin Health luckily had a good resources with them when they started, whereas the resource constrained settings like us, it becomes very, very difficult to manage it, but we still need to do it.
So there is a growing group of innovators like you who are focusing on health as a area of innovation.
Exactly. So now, but this is where I need to go back to my PhD topic, to be frank. This entire idea of medical innovation seems very novel, seems that there's a big need, but always the problem is the successful companies coming out of this is very less. If I ask you any successful company in internet, you will be able to answer, or in AI, you can still answer. But if you tell health, hardly any names that can come in our minds, and predominantly is because how slow we have to grow in. So that's when my entire PhD thesis has been around something that we call as MD3, Medical Device Design, Development and Dissemination. Like how do we design, develop and dissemination for successful product launch in market, especially for resource constraints. So we had to create a whole framework of what it takes to make a successful product and how it has to align with every stakeholder, including the team members of the startup, to make it a success. It's
So
not just a
aspiring entrepreneurs in the area of medicine can actually reach out to you.
Of course, yes. And to be frank, Zeuron is the biggest experiment that we are doing with regards to the MD3 framework, and we have learned a lot. And to be frank, when we started with my PhD, we came up with the theoretical framework. We started applying it. We saw there is flaws. While implementing Zeuron, we improved, and today it has reached to a state where we know what is what and how it takes, and still it's a work in progress. I believe it will take another 5-7 years to stabilize, but still we have a lot of answers now, where innovation, how it can be done, right from understand. So people start talking about need, problem statement, etc. But as I told you, medicine always had a similar need, right? Problems may be a little different, but needs were always same. But it's all about the entire cycle that has to go through, right from customer discovery to finding that niche problem, to solving that problem, and then expanding and scaling that problem, right? But in this entire thing, we have so many humans involved, like patients, caregivers, doctors, nurses, etc., etc. So all these things involved, and we are not building a product for one patient, but we are building a product for so many people involved in this ecosystem to solve one problem. So that's where the complexity of health increases, and to accelerate the innovation, if we keep building the same things again and again, it's difficult. And that also was one of the reason why when we started building Zeuron, we kept that in our mind, and we started building a platform itself, so that now can doctors directly build digital health applications in our platform. So basically it takes care of the entire issue around clinical studies, clinical validation, because it's been developed by the doctor, and at the same time doctors are doing the studies on the patients and prescribing it, so it becomes much more easier for them to adopt, rather than engineer making it for a patient or through the medical ecosystem. Let the medical ecosystem build it, we give the platform for them to build and grow it faster, right? So that was an idea with which we started Zeuron, where it was not only about products that we build, but a platform where doctors and medical innovators can build on top of us and accelerate their journey towards market, and actually solve problems, rather than building the same things, same hardware, same software again and again and again and again. So this is what we had, and this was inspired by the entire thesis that we have written. I guess it should be published in the next 6 months, and there would be a book for that as well, about the entire MD3. But innovating in healthcare has a little more different nuances than in innovating in other fields, because we are playing with the life of people in this case, and that too directly. Every other field plays indirectly, but we directly play with the life of people. So that's why we need to be more ethical, more cautious, and develop it from India for the globe, because here we can build it at a much lower cost and serve billions of population rather than just a small thousands or lakhs of population that we can talk about.
Anything else that you want to share with people, in terms of wellness and lifestyle before we, close?
So, to be frank, if you look into wellness as an opportunity, it's a $1 trillion plus market globally, right? It's a huge market, and there are place for everyone to be in this. But at the same point of time, we have to be very sure about what are we building, why are we building, and how are we building, because building something for health and wellness is not easy. At the same time, you cannot expect a rapid growth, rapid scale. It will take its own sweet time to achieve that balance that is there. So, only caution for all the innovators, all the wannabes in this space would be that if you are patient and if there is a purpose for you to build, then this is a very rewarding space. But if it's about just earning money, and that too quick, then this is not the place to be for any kind of wellness innovations. It's impossible to scale. And finally, the most important piece is every human is different. So when we are building something for wellness, if we build it as a standardized protocol, it is deemed to be failed at some point because you cannot scale after a point of time. So customization, personalization is a key aspect for wellness, which is not the same for any other field. Here, personalization becomes the most key element, because you may have a different, genetic makeup than mine, and we may interact differently with different food that we eat, different exercise that we may be doing, and hence that personalization becomes the key aspect of health, which I believe is one of the thing that's been a failure across, because most of the health solution is a standardized solution, and personalization seldom takes place. And again, when it comes to personalization, scale is a problem. So it's a chicken and egg story that we are solving here, because one side you're chasing the growth, the other side you're chasing the personalization. So both are gonna be contradictory to each other. Finding the right balance is a key over here, and that takes a lot of efforts and time to make it right.
Thanks, Siddharth. Please let me know when your book is published, and I would love to have you back here to speak about your book and the framework for medical innovation products. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.